The morning sun cast a warm glow upon the party as they stirred from their slumber. As the adventurers opened their eyes, their memories flooded back, carrying with them a sense of unease. They had all experienced unsettling dreams, visions that left a lingering sense of foreboding. With a shared understanding, the party gathered their belongings and made their way down the tunnel that led deeper into the earth. Their footsteps echoed softly, their anticipation growing with each step. It wasn't long before the tunnel opened up, revealing a vast chamber filled with ancient ruins, overgrown with moss and ivy. Guarding the ruins stood a group of draconians, their scaly forms gleaming in the dim light. Jack, her eyes narrowing as he surveyed their adversaries. By her side, Rango cracked his knuckles in anticipation. Without hesitation, the battle commenced. Jack threw forth lightning, striking down upon the draconians and stunning them. Rango danced among the draconians, throwing deadly spells. They fought hard and well, each counting their kills silently in their minds. As the clash continued, Rango's fast spells proved to be an advantage. His strikes were swift and precise, finding the weak points in the draconians' armor. With each fallen enemy, a sense of triumph surged through him. The thrill of victory coursed through his veins as he outpaced Jack, the count of his kills rising higher and higher. Meanwhile, Ren, a skilled rogue, had slipped into the shadows. The hag, hidden from view, had sensed Ren's presence and beckoned the adventurer closer. Ren, using the powers of invisibility, approached the hag cautiously, ready for any treachery. To Ren's surprise, the hag spoke with a voice that carried an unexpected gentleness. She revealed that they had met before and that the draconians were merely her guardians, protecting the ruins from trespassers. The unsettling dreams the party had experienced were a side effect of her magic, a warning to those who dared disturb her domain. She wished to speak with Jack. Ren, ever the negotiator, struck a deal with the hag. In exchange for meeting with her, she would stand down the guards. With a reluctant nod, the hag called off her draconian guardians, their menacing forms retreating back into the shadows. As the echoes of battle faded, the party regrouped, Jack and Rango joining Ren's side. They listened as Ren relayed their agreement with the hag, the tension in the air gradually dissipating. Though their path was redirected, they felt a sense of relief, knowing they had avoided a potentially deadly encounter. Rango and Jack exchanged perplexed glances as they stood before the hag, who had extended an unexpected invitation to her dwelling. The eerie atmosphere was palpable, but curiosity compelled them to accept the hag's offer. They cautiously stepped inside, their senses heightened. Inside the dimly lit abode, they found the hag standing near a rustic wooden table, her weathered hands dexterously cutting up pieces of a human body on the table before her. The scent of roasted meat filled the air, tempting their growling stomachs. The hag's sharp eyes met theirs, a mischievous glimmer within. "Come closer, my guests," she said, her voice carrying a strange mix of warmth and manipulation. "Share in this humble feast I've prepared." Rango, ever the skeptic, exchanged a glance with Jack, who seemed more perplexed than ever. Nevertheless, their hunger overpowered their reservations, and they cautiously approached the table. The hag extended her gnarled hand, offering them each a succulent piece of meat. Rango, his natural caution still intact, observed Jack carefully before taking a bite. Jack, however, took the raw meat without a second thought, her hunger momentarily overshadowing any suspicion. The flavors exploded in her mouth, tender and savory, leaving him momentarily spellbound. As they savored the morsels, the hag's unsettling words broke the silence, her voice wrapping around them like a chilling breeze. "You know, Jack," she began, her gaze piercing his soul, "I consider myself your wife." Jack's eyes widened in shock, a myriad of emotions swirling within her. She stumbled back, barely able to comprehend the revelation. The hag's words hung heavily in the air, an inexplicable truth that shattered her understanding of the world. The hag continued, her tone softer but filled with an unsettling certainty. We have a son, Jack. A child born of our union. Jack's mind raced, trying to recall any memory, any encounter that could explain this revelation. But her thoughts turned up empty, leaving her with a profound sense of confusion. Ren and the other party members, sensing the tension, cautiously entered the room, their eyes widening at the bizarre scene. The hag turned her attention to them, her unsettling gaze now fixed on the entire group. You are all welcome to join us for dinner, she said, her voice laced with a mixture of hospitality and sinister intent. Ren, always the voice of reason, spoke up, trying to unravel the hag's motivations. Why have you brought us here? What do you truly seek? The hag's lips curled into a wicked smile as she answered, her voice dripping with dark amusement. I seek a bond, a family that will share my feast. I wish for Jack to meet her son. A sense of dread settled over the party as they realized the true nature of the hag's invitation. They had stumbled into her revelation to Jack and now would have to stay for an awkward dinner. Suddenly they all recalled the hag who had returned Jack to life from her old body and realized this must be her. The atmosphere in the hag's abode grew increasingly tense as the party members sat through the awkward dinner. The hag doted on Jack with an unsettling mix of affection and possessiveness, preparing her for the momentous meeting with their alleged son. The room was thick with anticipation and unease. As the final course was served, the hag's eyes sparkled with anticipation. She rose from her seat, beckoning Jack to follow her. Her voice carried a strange blend of motherly pride and possessive longing as she spoke. Come, my love, let us meet our son. Jack, overwhelmed by the bizarre circumstances and the weight of the revelation, hesitantly rose from his seat. The other party members exchanged concerned glances, their hearts heavy with empathy for their friend. They offered silent support, understanding the immense emotional burden he carried. Together, Jack and the hag stepped into a chamber adjoining the dining area, where the son awaited their arrival. Jack's heart pounded with trepidation as the door creaked open, revealing a figure that seemed familiar yet utterly alien. The hag's son stood before them, clad in Jack's old body, a mirror image of what Jack herself used to be. The son's eyes held a mixture of confusion and longing, a reflection of his own struggle to comprehend his existence. The realization hit Jack like a tidal wave, her emotions threatening to overwhelm her. This twisted parody of her former self, a living reminder of a past he couldn't recall, shattered her fragile sense of identity. Unable to bear the weight of the revelation, she turned and fled from the chamber, her footsteps echoing through the corridors as she sprinted outside. Outside, beneath the open sky, Jack collapsed to her knees, tears streaming down her face. The weight of her confusion, the burden of an unknown past and an unexpected family, pressed upon her with unbearable force. She cried out, her voice a mixture of pain and anguish, releasing the pent-up emotions that threatened to consume her. Meanwhile, back inside the abode, Ren and the other party members stood in stunned silence. They exchanged worried glances, their hearts heavy with concern for Jack. Though they couldn't fully comprehend the complexities of her situation, they knew their friend needed their support. Steeling themselves, the party made their way outside, finding Jack hunched over on the ground, her body racked with sobs. Rango approached Jack and called for her attention. When she gazed at him, he lashed out with eye bite, forcing her to sleep. He then piled Jack on his back and the party ran like mad for the exit. Ren created a vision of the exit having collapsed, and when Jack awoke seconds later the party tried to convince her that it was all a bad dream. Jack, knowing this to be a lie but unable to deal with the truth, agreed, and they quickly made their way to the surface. As they made their way out, a blood-curdling scream of anger split the air. They rushed forward and Jack cast transport via plant and sent them to Neverwinter. They rushed to the Adventurers Guild to report on their quests. Jack, seeking solace from the chaos of her thoughts, quickly made her way to the bar where she purchased the largest bottle of rum available. She needed something to drown her sorrows and quiet the chaos within her mind. The bartender obliged, sliding a bottle of amber liquid across the polished wooden counter. Taking the bottle in her hands, Jack retreated to a secluded corner of the tavern. She stared at the label, lost in thought. The party, however, could not leave her alone, and eventually she got frustrated. Without a second thought, Jack chanted an incantation she had learned in her travels, channeling her magic into the transformation. A brilliant light engulfed her form, and when it faded, a small, scruffy dog stood in her place. Jack had become an agile, brown and white mongrel. Excitement surged through Jack as she bounded out of the tavern. She felt the wind rustling through her fur and the thrill of newfound freedom from the party. Eventually she sought solace with one of the many holy people around the religious district, approaching a priest of Bacchus. The priest spoke Jack, his eyes filled with compassion. "You seek guidance, my child," he said, his voice melodic and soothing. "Tell me of your plight, and together, we shall seek a solution." She told him of her troubles and her newfound family. The priest smiled warmly. "In the darkest of times, we must hold fast to the light within. Seek out moments of laughter, celebration, and camaraderie. A single flicker of joy can ignite a flame that banishes even the deepest shadows." His words resonated with Jack, filling her with a renewed sense of hope. She thanked the priest for his guidance, his wisdom lifting the weight from her shoulders. With a determined nod, she bid farewell to the priest and left the cathedral, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. Rango set off on his mission to retrieve the blood of a god, skulking off to a hidden place known to him. After giving them the codes and signs, he was rewarded with a globe of travel and a vial containing the blood of Palanthas. Ren and Argrax approached the council and told them of their travels and the plans ahead. They implored them to get the army underway to the Well of Dragons immediately. They regrouped with Rango and Jack, then together went to Auric the smith. Providing him with everything he needed to create the weapon, he began his task straight away, aware of the need for haste. Relieved everything was in order, the party allowed themselves a moment of celebration, knowing that the next few weeks would be some of the most trying times of their lives.